Hi, hello, welcome to Kate and Kajira Gaming. Welcome if you are new, you can call me KK, and today we're going to go ahead and we're going to build tiny homes for all of the EEVEELUTIONs with Eevee included. Now, this tiny home plot is from Sam and Bean. You can find them on the gallery under the hashtag right here, or their EID tag as well. But we're going to start off our plot. I divided to make sure that I had enough plots for everybody. So I needed 9 plots total. There's 8 here, but I end up making a big one in the back corner for 2 of them to share. You'll see that later. And our first home here is going to be Eevee. So with Eevee, I imagine her almost like the start of cottagecore, like a very simple, sweet little cottage that is just, I don't know, tiny and cute and, well, Eevee. So it's going to have lots of neutral tones to kind of play off her fur color with lots of wildflowers. Now, all of these are just shells for the moment, and in the future video, I will go ahead and I will decorate the interiors because this was from start to finish a 6-hour build. It was a lot, and I condensed it down into 30 minutes, so yay, go me. Now, most of Eevee's design pieces are coming from cottage living because that just gave the most, I don't know, rustic sweetness that I was kind of looking for. And I don't know. I absolutely love this. I keep going back and forth on how I'm doing the porch and how I do the flowers. You'll see me raise the foundation, lower the foundation. I did find out that in order to make sure that my flowers don't clip upwards a level to the house, I have to not have the house on a foundation, and then I can put all my flowers down and then raise the house up without messing up my landscaping. So I end up realizing that way later on in my build. It is what it is. I figured it out eventually. Made my life kind of hell trying to figure that out on my own. So the roofing situation, as you know, with every Sims build is a pain in the rear end. I kept going back and forth multiple times on how I was doing this roof, how I wanted it to look. I had this idea in my head, but I just could not get it to work no matter what I did. And eventually I end up with something. I do like that I took this half gabled roof piece and kind of just made it almost like the porch covering, but I don't like how it like slants on the side. I can't get it completely flat. I feel like the Sims really do need to give us a just completely flat roof piece, especially for those that do like container house builds or even do maybe like a trailer build, because their roofs are flat, not angular. I spent a lot of time in debug for my landscaping specifically, mostly because through all of my other builds, I have learned that debug has the best landscaping. Now, unfortunately, you cannot just go into debug and then sort it by landscaping. It doesn't work that way. You have to just go into the search bar and type debug after you turn it on and just scroll and scroll and scroll. Y'all, I've done hours upon hours of scrolling for me to be able to work with debug on most of my builds lately, especially if you guys follow me on Twitch and see any of my VODs here on YouTube. A lot of my time is in that debug menu. Now, when placing my landscaping elements, I did size some down, I sized some up. I tried to make the wildflowers look as natural as possible without overshadowing what is supposed to be up front. I didn't want her yard completely unkempt, but I wanted that just overflowing of flowers and cuteness. So I just kind of kept it to the little front area, and the back is nice and clean. Now, to elevate your builds, what I highly suggest is adding some dirt underneath your garden beds. It does just add a little bit of realness to the build, because where you're planting things and things are popping up, there's dirt. It's not just grass. This little circular window up at the top in the eaves from Cottage Living is the perfect homage to Eevee, as well as this cute little picnic table. I want to say it was from Growing Together, but I have no idea. I wasn't paying attention. So maybe I added more flowers in the back than I thought I did, but you know what? It came out cute. I did extend some of them into behind the fence line so that it does look like they're just flowers growing from nature, kind of just pooling into the yard. Our next tiny home is going to be for Flareon. Flareon's home I made spicy. It was black and red and kind of angular shaped, I guess, kind of. You guys will see what I mean once I get the shell done. Now, designing her home was a lot easier at this point than Evie's, which I'm not 100% certain why, just because of how weird I made it. But I think the weirdness is what made it easy. I was not trying to make it cute. I was not trying to give it a cottagecore effect. I was really just trying to create these weird angular shapes, kind of like Flareon's tail and her little neck poof. Did I succeed? It's debatable, but I did like how it turned out in the end. Now, it was at this point that I did not raise the house up because I was like, oh, yeah, having things down on, the ground and not a foundation makes it easier to put things up. I really love these red panelings and the corresponding metal sheet roof. I think just played off wonderfully. I was thinking about also maybe doing this as like orange and yellow and red, but I think this came out a lot better. Now, a lot of my details are very bold statement pieces. I do not add a whole bunch of floral elements to here. I did add some succulents because, cacti and succulents will survive in the heat, so that's kind of what I went with. Don't ask me why I put columns everywhere. I just thought it gave the property some sort of, I don't know, some sort of architectural thing. I have no idea where I was going with this. But I did also want to create a like patio space because fire, barbecue. So I took a square and kind of just attached it to the house and ended up flitting through which grills I wanted to use. I did eventually end up settling on the horse ranch one. I thought it was just a little more rustic looking than the one from, I think it was Moschino, or maybe it was like the movie pack or something. All the furniture out here is wrought iron because, it's not going to melt under fire. It might get a little hot, but, they like that. It's fine. Still trying to keep along with the red and black theme, channeling that out to this side as well. And then I added a bonfire pit and I took oh gosh, what is it? I ended up taking the tires from werewolves and used those as seating because I don't know. I don't ever use these and I don't know. I thought it was perfect. My least favorite part of building Flareon so far was the floral elements and trying to add some sort of landscaping around her house. I was trying to play off of what I did in DLV when I did a desert biome field, but like, I don't know, I just wasn't feeling any of this. Again, in debug, some of the time, a lot of these cacti are in debug, so I tried to pick a couple of them and just smash them around, but in the end, I really was not happy with any of the landscaping I did in her house. I do go back eventually at some point during my build and change all of the grass landscaping in everybody's little pen to match what aesthetic we're going for. So for Evie, I took the terrain paint that was a lot of flowers and filled her entire grass with flowers. And then I ended up taking, I think, dead grass for Flareon and put that everywhere. After Flareon, we did Vaporeon. Only makes sense to have, water next to fire. So with Vaporeon, I wanted it to have a beach condo sort of feel, but more like an open air beach condo. So working on this upper roofing piece honestly was a pain in the rear end, especially trying to do what I wanted to do, but I ended up taking two half gabled pieces and making them tall to where they matched each other, but I wanted nothing in between. So I just put some of these wooden columns through there, and then I put the um, Island Living spandrel to kind of round it off like it was done intentionally. I also wanted this to resemble a beach house, so we're going to do lots of windows, lots of white. And I really love how this came out. Be honest, I'm not really looking forward to decorating the inside of these houses because some of them are very, very weirdly shaped and I have to figure out how to get everything in. I did not add a door from the upstairs to the balcony. I just wanted to leave it open, again, going with a nice open air concept. And my favorite part, we are going to build a pool with a little inset seating as well as a functional in-pool bar. So I just created a little in-ground area. I started with basement, raised it up. And we're just going to add our stairs, add our cushions. And this is how we did our thing. And I just built the pool around it. And over on this side, we're going to start adding in our functional pool area. So I started by building a room and lowering the room a whole bunch. And then I'm just going to insert my favorite bar. It's not my favorite, it's just the one that matches the theme. And that's the one from Island Living. So I'm going to kind of have it snap into this hole in the ground that I put here. And then I'm going to just alt drag it into where I need. I will add a basement and take care of the roof and raise it up so that there's a floor. Make sure that you add ladders so people can get in and out. And then we work on landscaping and outside decor. So I did palm trees and I ended up going again into debug and got a lot of coral and put some coral pieces around as well with some hibiscus bushes. And eventually I did end up changing all of this terrain paint to sand. These little clumps of sand, like I said, are in debug. I love the clumps of sand. I think it adds some nice texture. Over on this side, we have Jolteon. Jolteon went, again, super eclectic. Tried to not make it super matchy-matchy. I did stick with a lot of bright yellows, but I also brought in some vibrant blues, as well as I think I did maybe some oranges as well and some black. Why did I do that? I don't know. I have no idea. It looked cool. I liked it. I liked the design that I had in my head, and it's just kind of where we went. Like I've been saying with the last 3 builds, I spent a lot of time in debug, and you guys will see when I start actually decorating like the outside with the lawn items. Debug was where I had to go for Jolteon. There was not much inside the regular build buy menu that would have worked with any sort of electric, well, anything. Changed my mind quite a few times on the painting of the house, and I settled on kind of what I'm doing here now with this worn out yellow all over the house, and again that black metal sheet roofing. This is the door that kind of sparked the whole color palette. I loved this door. There is not very many yellow doors in The Sims, and this just kind of sparked joy. This is what I ended up with. So we have a bunch of different window shapes to add to that eclecticness, but they're all kind of in that same like blue range. These teeny tiny windows here were my absolute favorite part of Jolteon's build. And then, of course, finding all the dead grass that I put everywhere was also my favorite. Trying to mimic like lightning strikes. I wish that we have, because we have seasons, I wish we had more season related items in terms of landscaping. I did find these power poles, which are not from seasons. These are actually from cat and dogs. Why is this in cats and dogs? I don't know. Same with this weather van. I found a weather van. So for me, the lore behind Jolteon is a storm chaser. And that's where we ended up. Jolteon the storm chaser. In Realm of Magic's debug are these little glowing orbs. I kind of connected them to the power poles like they're little bolts of lightning coming off of the power poles. This back corner is going to be a dual lot for both Umbreon and Espeon. We're starting with Umbreon's house first. Over here in the back corner, I'm kind of regretting building on a diagonal, but also not. I think it adds a different architecture shape to the whole build where everything is kind of like headset on, and I wanted to make Umbreon's a little bit different to see if I could, and well, I did. I wanted her house to be kind of, I don't know, a little bit of macabre, a little bit of eerie, like that house that you just pass on your street and just kind of, you give it a side eye, like, this is a little weird. I don't know how to feel about it. And that's kind of where I went with this. Just did a half a porch around the stairs, mostly because you can't put stairs on a diagonal without a mod. And I'm making this all without any custom content. Now I wanted the main living space of this house to be on the second floor, with the first floor to resemble a garage. I don't know if it's still going to be a garage once I end up decorating the inside. Might have been a garage transformed into something else. We'll see exactly where my brain power takes me when I do design the inside of this house. Lots of blacks and yellows because that is Umbreon. Umbreon is black and yellow. I loved the contrasting black roof with the yellow trim, and then the yellow border around that second to kind of resemble the marks on her tail and ears. I found this circle thing. I think it's a wall structure, or maybe it was in the decorations, but it resembled the circle on her head. And then I found that finial thing that looked like her ears. So that's on top of the house. I think this was the only house I did that had that ear finial. I ended up taking a tarot card photo and just putting it in the front. I don't know why. It looked cool. I liked the idea, and it stuck, and it looks cute at the end. We're going to go with some rustic looking lanterns for the entranceway, and then I am making my faux garage. So I'm just using yellow siding and yellow posts and some windows to make it look like a garage. Obviously not functional, but you know. We're going to go ahead and work on Espeon. Now, Espeon, I wanted her to live in a fortune teller's traveling van thing. So I did a raised platform trick where you build a 1x1 square, and then you place a flat platform on top, remove the room, and then you can raise and lower the building part like I did. And then I did take a tiny bit of room and make like a weird triangle so it looks like that hitch thing. I took the same like wall decal thing that I have on Umbreon's upper part and turned it black so that it looks like wheels. And now we're just going to paint the whole thing purple. And I like this one. It's super small. So I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to end up doing the inside, but it's cute. We're going to have to get creative. I wanted her to be like a traveling tarot reader, so I do eventually end up putting the deco tarot like tent thing that came with life and death that is completely non-functional. This thing right here. I thought it was a nice addition to have out front, especially since Espeon is psychic. We're just going to decorate her side with some purple trees, and then we'll decorate Umbreon's side with some darker landscaping as well. Looking back, I probably could have also added maybe some of the purple and blue orbs in Debug from Realm of Magic to kind of give that ethereal look to Espeon, but I didn't think of that then. One thing I don't like about working with Debug is if I want to use the same item more than once, I can't just use the dropper tool. I have to go and find it again and again and again, which is kind of annoying. Our next house is going to be Leafeon. Now, Leafeon is not my favorite Pokemon, but I think her house is one of my favorites because I love the cottagecore look. So again, I went with another 2-story build. A lot of these houses are going to be 2-story. Oh, this one's 3-story. It's the only way that I can actively get all the things that I need for a house in when I'm building very narrow. But I wanted Leafeon's house to resemble, I don't know, like that weird house on the block. I have no idea what I was going for with this, honestly. But this is one of my favorites. It's lots of greens, lots of neutrals, lots of plants, and that's probably why I love it so much, is that there's a lot of plants, and I love plants naturally in my life. We also ended up taking that offshoot over on the right hand side, and that will end up becoming a greenhouse or like a conservatory type thing. So I made lots of glass everywhere in that one. Now with Leafeon's house, her house itself is yellow and green to match her like fur skin color. Our wallpapers in both of those colors are not the best when we're trying to make things cohesive adjacent, but it is what it is. I wanted the house to look like it was put together piece by piece with whatever the owner had, so nothing really matches. Like, we've got an industrial railing, we've got siding, we've got shingles, we've got a glass conservatory. What I was going for with this, I don't know. But in the end, this is one of my favorite houses. Now, after I raised this up for the foundation, I ended up going with the stilts foundation. I just think it fits a little bit better for somebody that would have built their house basically in the middle of a field of flowers, and that is how this landscaping turns out. I do end up building a wraparound porch so I could have more flower and more plant space. But these are more of the potted plants. So I just, again, I used that um, foundation paint of the stilts, and I used this like metal bar for my railings, and it just fits. We're just going to load the space up with lots of potted plants and wood items, and then we're going to decorate the entire landscaping with nothing but wildflowers. I love all the little fine details that I have around here, like the random garden hose that I have on the side, because how else would you water all of your plants but with a garden hose? Lots of different plant types, plant sizes, plant pots. I tried to find the ones that were not in your typical vase because I feel like Leafeon would just be like, oh, look, that has a hole in it. I can drop a plant in here. So that's kind of what I was going for when I was making my plant selections. I wish this bathtub plant that I found I could have used somewhere. I didn't really have anywhere to put it. I might end up using it inside the greenhouse later on. I also added this little propagation station up top, which was super cute. Again, lots of hangy plants everywhere. Fill the space the absolute most I can with plants. I loved these overhang plants from Jungle Adventure, and then these vining plants from Cottage Living. These are the wisteria plants, which I thought were perfect to like grow up her house. And it also just added a little bit of something else to the house rather than just having nothing in the back. Gonna litter the whole area with a bunch of different grasses and wildflowers, and that is Leafeon's house. Our next house and our second to last Pokemon is going to be Glaceon. So Glaceon, I wanted her house to look like an igloo. This one is the weirdest shaped house out of this whole lot, honestly. I wanted it to look like an igloo. So this one for me was a little bit difficult. So I used a lot of these hip roofs, made everything white, spent a lot of time in debug under the snowy escape menu so that I could find snow. And that's just what I ended up doing. I was not a big fan that this was jutting out the back, but if I moved the little arrows, it looked weird, so I'm just gonna have to deal with the fact that it's jutting out of the back, and I ended up hiding it anyway with the snow. So thinking back, I probably should have added maybe some blue for Glacian, but like I said, I wanted this to look like an igloo. So in debug, if you're under Snowy Escape, you can search and find these little snow piles. So I wanted the whole house to look like it was covered in snow, so everything is bright white and snow is. This was a lot to do because I had to make sure it also wasn't going inside the house when I was placing these, because I still want these houses to be kind of functional. Not entirely sure how functional they're going to be once I actively start building inside, but for now, I wanted them to be as functional as possible. So once the roofing is done, I just went and put white tiles all along underneath to look like ice, and then continued on with the snow down below to resemble, snow and ice. A lot of my windows are from the Snowy Escape pack. I do love this sort of Japanese inspiredness for the igloo. In debug, I did find these like snow skiing signs and these little snow pals. They look like snowballs in the preview. When you hover over them, they say snow pal. When you put them down, they pop up as little snowmen. So I thought that was cute to add here. And of course, a snow shovel. There isn't too much entirely that I like adding in here. I did find some snow sculptures and these fir trees with snow on them, so I added them just for that extra touch of landscaping in Glaceon's house. We are coming on to our final house, and that is for Sylveon. Sylveon is a very cute Pokemon and one of my absolute favorites. So her entire house build is basically the trans pride flag colors. So it's white, pink, and blue. And I'm trying to make this look more like a whimsical cottage than anything else. So this shell design took a little bit of finagling. But after I got everything all kind of figured out, it was really just easy to add the colors onto the house. I went with an all white base that had like the paneling on it, and I ended up doing a pink metal roof because we really don't have many other pink options for our roof, but I went with the light pink one from Eco Lifestyle. And then, like I was saying, I went with the white like paneling wallpaper here. This is from the storybook kit. And then we ended up going with a very light blue brick on the chimney or the tower or whatever I'm going to make this be. This door is so perfect and so cute. It's pink with flowers on it. And then paired up with the Romantic Gardens arch here, I think this is just so sweet and so fairy tale like. The hardest part, honestly, was trying to decide on the windows. I did end up deciding on the single pane with blue shutter from Cottage, kind of where I ended up, and I put one of those circle butterflies in each window, one in pink and one in blue, so it kind of pays homage to all the colors of Sylveon. Trying to decide what color windows I was going to place on the blue brick was a little bit hard for me. I wanted to change the color so they stood out, but it also looked weird. So I just changed the entire style of the windows on the second floor to those like pink traditional looking windows. And then I went for the decor. Lots of flowers, lots of pink, lots of everything in Debug, y'all. Like this thing right here, these like flower vines coming up. This is from Debug. Everything I think in Sylveon's build currently is from Debug. But that is going to do it for me today, guys. Let me know in the comments down below which EEVEELUTION house is your favorite, and don't forget to give this video a great big thumbs up. It really and truly does help me in the algorithm. And if you guys do want to see what the interiors look like, don't forget to click that subscribe button and the notification bell. It'll go ding in your inbox every time I post. If live streams are more your thing, be sure to check the description box down below and follow me across all social media sites. That's Twitch, Twitter, and Discord, where I do post when I go live. I have been trying to stream at least 3 to 4 times a week for at least the next couple of weeks, and then it's going to be every day. But I am so excited for this build. I have so many builds coming down the pipeline. I have a giant wheel that makes my selection of what builds to do next because I just have so many ideas and I don't know where to start. If you guys have your own build idea that you'd like to see come to fruition, let me know in the comments down below and I'll add it to the wheel. And then, of course, tag you when it is all done. If you guys are looking for a like-minded cozy game group over on Facebook, be sure to join the Facebook group Cozy Gamers After Dark. We are a 21 and up group. We are super friendly, all-inclusive, maybe even just a tad bit snarky, but we make it so much fun and we do enjoy everybody in our group. That is also linked down below in the description box for you guys. I do want to thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today on this very long speed build. This is the first time I have done a voiceover in quite a long time, so I hope my explanations were okay. Thanks, guys. Again, I'm a small-time content creator looking to grow her channel in 2025, and I hope you guys will continue on this journey with me. I'll see y'all next time. Bye, guys.